Welcome to another episode of TSW. And today we have a very interesting guest. And as everybody is talking about AI, सब जगह AI के बारे में ही चर्चा है और इन वीडियो एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है जो काफी इंटरेस्टिंग है AI के फील्ड में. And today we have founder of InVideo, Sanket. Welcome to our channel and thank you for taking out time. Uh, how are you? How are you doing?
Good, yeah. Pleasure to be here.
Okay. मैं आपसे एक सिंपल सा सवाल पूछता हूँ. अगर किसी को आसान लैंग्वेज में समझाना है कि AI क्या होता है, तो how will you explain it?
मैं बोलूँगा कि बेसिकली आपको जो भी काम करने के लिए और कोई चाहिए या जो भी काम आप खुद नहीं कर सकते और उसके लिए आपको कोई मदद चाहिए. एआई आपकी मदद है. एआई इज द help. AI is the expertise that's now available at your fingertips.
Can you also help me give a walkthrough of how did you come up with the idea of InVideo, right? And can you help me understand what is the technology underfoot?
Sure. InVideo is 7 years in. So AI is, of course, the new stuff. But really, I think, yeah, when you're starting a company, right, like it needs to, I think that money is not the driver. And when money is not a driver, the driver is usually the purpose because you'll have so many good times and bad times. And in bad times, for you to last, it needs to have usually a larger purpose that you can get up in the morning and then fight through those, right? Is what I believe in. And InVideo came by because while I was at University of Michigan, I basically went to and attended a business school course. I've done my engineering, but I just went to a business school, do things outside the engineering school. And I went to the business school course जहाँ पे बोला कि ये book पढ़ के लाओ. And then I started reading non-fiction books. And when I read non-fiction books, what I thought was, can the value of this book be comprised in, can we compress it in 10-15 minutes? And I think like a lot of business books can communicate a lot of principles in 15-20 minutes. And that is when I started creating 15-minute, 10-minute video summaries of nonfiction books. And I started with a book called Scientific Advertising and then went to Art of War, Think and Grow Rich. When I started doing those books, I realized that, oh wow, video creation is extremely difficult. And somewhere I was 21 then, and I think I was super naive. And it came to me that world should not be this. One thing led to another. And then like I started my last company after the last company got acquired. I don't think I had a closure to this problem. I did not think that I had the feeling that has the world solved it? And do I want to wake up every day, try solving it? And it comes down to like different people in life will have different kind of dents in life. And I think meri auqat anusar, if I'm able to solve the video problem, if I'm able to get enough people in the world who need video to be able to get video, it's enough problem that will excite me to keep solving. And that is how InVideo started. InVideo was basically in that time, I would say largely you can say Canva for video, like trying to make sure that you and me can create some form of video. And then when AI came back and I learned through the process, identified user journeys, what users really wanted, I think we deeply understood all of that. And then came down to the product side of things like, and I think like all problems in the world are design problems, product problems. And I think all problems in the world do end up connecting with different laws of life. And basically I came back and said that how can we solve or how can we match user needs to what's possible just now? And what's possible just now due to AI? What are the things that users don't want to do that AI can do for them now? And that is when we started fitting the atoms of what users did not want to do, what users were struggling with, and mapped it to what AI can do today, mapped with our core advantages and our insights, and built the AI platform inside InVideo. So that's really how it came down to. What we think users don't want to do is, I don't think that users want to spend hours and hours of time creating a video. Now, the thing is a little bit about user psychology is as the effort to gratification increases, the funnel keeps dropping. What AI does is the effort to gratification is a far better ratio than effort to gratification before AI. And thus more people can now create. And people need a video. People need a video. For a small business needs a video, a journalist needs a video, a business needs a video to communicate. And it's a form of one to many communication. And they don't want to always write a script from scratch. The core is really people hate doing things from a blank slate. And you want to make sure that ideas in their head become tangible as fast as possible for them to iterate on it. And that's really what it does, right? Like in some form, it writes a script. In some forms, it gives a beautiful voice. And if you and me have ever recorded a voice, then you know that there are a bunch of ers and ums and you get stuck. But the world is far more brutal out there where they don't like ers and ums. They will like with every and I think so, the user retention drops. And as the user retention drops, the platform stops promoting because all the platform wants is engagement. It wants users to stay on that platform for the video to do well. So a lot of those things are taken away. You don't know when to put a transition. You don't know what the music should be. So we take care a bunch of things away that, in my opinion, are errands of video creation. And the goal is to take the errands of video creation away and let you play with your ideas as much as possible, as fast as.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning to see if you give a command, if you have a just say in a very wacky idea, also just imagination and quickly see it on the screen or maybe a couple of minutes, then it's amazing. So I want to ask you one thing. Today we are talking about AI and everything here. And it's not that AI has not been around it has been around for a very long time, right? We have seen in some sort of AI implementations in certain pockets in the tech industry, right? But with OpenAI coming up, right? It just catapulted, right? I want to understand when Open Chat GPTs of the world came into the limelight. What was your reaction? How did you have to make some sort of any course correction, or did you have to like? Do you think that okay, this is now our product has become much more relevant? Did you have to make some fine tunings to your products?
So look, there are a couple of threads to this one. The first is there is AI post GPT and pre GPT. Now, pre GPT AI was more specific. Post GPT, you are going more generic with respect to what AI can do. So AI was there, AI not there, AI there is actually all but a spectrum. On that spectrum, we have all of a sudden moved from a scale of, at least in terms of my imagination and judgment, we have moved from a scale of say 2 or 3 on 10 to 5 or 6 on 10.
Mhm.
Okay. And then that is the step change that it has allowed from moving from 2 to 6, a delta of 4, that things that it could not do, now it's able to do. We actually ditched our old platform largely and rebuilt the entire software for the world of AI. So we did not make some change. We made extremely drastic, bold things that have played out. If it wouldn't have played out, it would be foolish. If it has played out, we are smart. But you go through belts of extreme anxiety when you are taking a very audacious decision. And that audacious decision is essentially seeing that, hey, AI for me is a bad ball. It's a full toss. And if it goes for a 6, it goes for a 6. It's foolish to get bold on full toss, but a full toss needs to be hit for a 6. So we treated it like a full toss. We said that we want to hit for a 6. And I keep saying this, and one thing that stuck is what I've read by Jeff Bezos, which is essentially in business, when you hit a home run, you don't get a home run. When you hit a 6, you don't get a 6. You get 100 runs, you get 200 runs. And such bets usually don't just pay for all your past mistakes, they also give and build cushioning for the future. Right. And we entirely reimagined the software. We went without zero biases. We said that what's possible now? How can I match it in the best way without letting scars and debts from the past affect us?
Hmm.
And I think like we have stayed away from it coming in the way, because a lot of times what will happen in engineering is, your past architecture, how you build the product, was not built keeping things in mind. Like basically, you can't build a building that's 50-story when the layout of that was only 20 stores, 20 floors. You have to redo the architecture to make sure that you are now aiming for a 50-story building. And basically, I think it just takes a lot of courage. I would have said balls, but I'm choosing the word courage
So,
to do it. And it's super scary.
so again, I want to understand a lot of AI platforms that are there out there right now. They are basically, it's like a more of a jigsaw puzzle, taking some things from here and some things from here. Like, so this is why I was very curious to understand how much originality is there on your platform. Are in terms of exclusivity, from the security point of view, the infrastructure point of view, so can you give us a walkthrough of it?
Yeah, look, I come from, there are many spectrums. You really have to keep 200 things in mind while doing something. Okay. But few of the important things are what? The user doesn't care about how you have built the product. The user cares about the solution that they want. But now you're building a business. So in business, one thing that happens is if there are too many players who are doing the same thing, then your price arbitrage goes away, your acquisition costs go through the roof. And that is why when people say defensibility, do you have defensibility in the business? And defensibility is essential. The third thing is insights. And I don't think any business or anything in the world can really be built without insights. What insight do you have? Almost like art, and Picasso used to say this, right? Like some form of, basically, art is not reality, but it needs to illuminate reality in some form. It's almost like that was the insight. And that is what the entire cubism and the art format of Picasso got built. What insight do you have? Where are you going to challenge the status quo? And why does it matter to the user? And when you do that, and when you have a long term view, you can actually get through like a lot of copycat. So, really, it comes down to insights. It comes down to user doesn't give a rat's ass about how have you stitched it. Investors do. Why do investors do is only because you don't want too many copycats, because then there will be a lot of pricing pressure and you cannot operate a 40% gross margin business because you need leeway to make mistakes. And you can make more mistakes in a 70% gross margin business than a 40% gross margin business. That is really what it comes down to. And I think that we have had extremely high quality insights that people did not have. And then it comes down to strategy, layering the strategy that you want to go to the summit, but it's the base camp that you start with, and the next camp, and the next camp, and the next camp. And how does that layering make sense? And why do you have conviction in that layering? And that layering requires a lot of rigor. When you are at the base camp, really, no one believes that you can ever make the summit. You might be a tourist who came to the base camp, but only you know, because you have the strategy on how you are going to build that up in steps. So basically, all disruption really happens at extreme bottom, and then it starts getting better. And as it starts getting better, it keeps attracting more and more audience. So really, what InVideo is today is only a 1 year execution outlook of what it really we want it to be. And what we really want it to be is, we believe that out of the 7 billion people, a billion people are going to create videos at some point, maybe one video. Can we make sure that they are able to? That's really the goal. And today, we are operating at a very small subset of that goal and winning that subset. And that subset had a lot of insights of user need. And it doesn't matter how it's staged, provided no one had that insight. Because even if you're late to insight, then your marketing, your packaging, what you're trying to do is not something that people can catch up. People can copy, but when people copy, are they going to able to copy the next step? And when companies copy and when companies innovate and think about insights on an execution perspective, when a company is innovating and a company is copying, Imagine what is the motivation of the people working at a company that's copying, and what is the motivation of a company that came up with an insight and executed from first principles where they won. It's very different. So it gets to cultural part. So I think that when I said that 200 things you keep in mind, all of these factors do play a very large role. But for some reason, one thing sells, which is, oh, but like people are stitching, they are not doing anything innovative. Sure, might be a problem. What are other check marks in business that they have thought becomes important? Now, I was speaking to one of our competitors, and I know most of our competitors and their founders and have been on talking terms for years. And he was saying that, Sanket, you guys are doing this. And we recently also built something like that. But hey, we are not able to monetize it and we are not able to retain users as well as you are. What's missing? And I was like, I can't answer that, but it was the full-fledged strategy. You have copied. There are 10 other things under then finer nuances that are happening because we haven't copied, because we thought about something that works for a particular audience. So I think that we don't think about it in a very holistic way. And when people understand it in a holistic way, is when the company has already done extremely well, and then you're looking at things only in hindsight. I think, and we don't move on anything where we don't have very strong insights. That why do we think we can win? What do we know that others don't? And in fact, the goal is to really identify segments that the world is not going after, because that is when you get a free run. And I think that all of that we do beautifully well, but we do. So we are now going to release one of our models, which is a lip sync model, and it's probably now 3 weeks out. But a lot of other things we use fundamental models, and I think it would be foolish for me to start thinking that I want to compete on LLMs with OpenAI
Got it.
versus state of the art.
Good. Good. I kind of get it also, because I'm sure I agree to the point that, that from user's point of view and as a user, like who also used InVideo, this was not in my mind like code. I just, as a user, I just want my video to be out and it has to be good. That's about it, right? That is all I care, right? So speaking of insights, you talked about insights and all. So I'm very curious about InVideo in terms of how people are using it. What are the kind of content? Is it mostly focused on creators who are using it, or you see its applications elsewhere as well?
Yeah, we get like 4 million new users every month, right? Yeah, 3-4 million new users every month. Okay. Basically, we get extremely wide variety of. And I'll give you some anecdotes and ideas. Small business. We know one person in Texas who is selling horses. That person does not need 100,000 views because 100,000 people are not looking to buy horses. If she sells 2 horses a year because of video, it's good enough. And that's the one kind of user. The second kind of user, that it's my favorite story, is really an ex-manager of the band Aerosmith was creating content around depression and how to fight it. And might have gotten 2-3,000 views, 5,000 views, and created a video on depression. And if you feel very depressed, what you should do. And that person then gets an email saying that, hey, I was going to commit suicide. And I saw the video and I did not commit suicide. Right. The third user, again, my favorite story is a blind person is able to create video. So the user was blind. And then if you look at it, otherwise, we get a bunch of users who are creating content for Instagram, creating content for YouTube, and then thousands and thousands of small businesses who are selling water bottles, who are saying that dentists, doctors, and all of them are not creators, but what they are trying to do is grow something. And the growth looks different for different people. Growth can be just two people selling 2 horses a year, or stopping like one person from like basically putting in enough positivity in a person to not commit suicide, right? So stuff like that. But again, millions of users create very different variety of content. We have channels where I know at least half a dozen channels or a dozen channels where people have 50,000, 40,000 followers. All the content is created on InVideo and they're teaching a concept like science in a hurry. a history buff creating content about history.
If you look at from the larger perspective and how AI is becoming a big thing, and you have seen so many government initiatives talking about AI, taking the lead in AI, and not that Indian startups are not there in that space. But if you look at the overall global race in AI, so you see China, US, or maybe West in general, you don't see India taking the lead at the moment, right? And this is despite the kind of IT infrastructure we already have. Do you see that AI India can lead the AI battle?
I think again, what do we mean by? I think the question is in the nuance of what do we mean by leading the AI battle. India is, I think, India is a very applications market. It might not be like our India. Will we say that India is leading in tech or not? I think that the answers yes and no, and I think it will be very similar in terms of AI. And India is a very applications market, and India leading and not leading. If you say that, will India build a company like OpenAI? Most likely not. Now we can be very motivated and say that, hey, challenge accepted, and I think all of us Indians love it because. But at that point, you have made it like an ego battle. The reason why India is not good, most likely going to be able, even after having talent, most likely not being able to build a company like OpenAI is because I don't think anyone would fund a company like OpenAI in India ahead of its time. Sure, you can look at OpenAI today and fund a company that can become OpenAI of tomorrow. But hey, you are like 7 years away, 5, 7, 8 years away. All the thinking happened earlier, right? And no one's going to fund a company. We don't have the level of the conduciveness to conduct research in India at this point of time. Where does it come from? It comes from we are as a country solving for poverty. We are solving for toilets. We are solving for stuff. We are not solving for research in AI, and government's not funding millions of dollars or billions of dollars doing that. So really, if you look at the whole thing, then I think the argument is not correct argument. Will we do extremely well on the application side of AI? I think so. Why would we do it? Because it would take the Indian nuance to serve people of India a lot of time. And we will win a lot of those battles, along with, say, Google's and Microsoft. Like Google Pay is killing it in India, for example. But a lot of Indian companies will also win, like PhonePe and Paytm. So I think a very similar thing is going to happen, and we expecting OpenAI or Tesla to be built out of India is, I think, wrong expectations. We are why do see all the decisions of what's happening today have been taken 10 years back. So you cannot say that, oh, I'll take this decision today and get it today. Like you can't get a baby in 3 months. You have to fucking spend 9 months for that. And I don't think we have spent that time. And if you've not done that, you're not going to get a baby today. Just because you saw your neighbor's baby today, you're not going to get a baby today. It's going to take a while. So talking about present, I think it's difficult. Talking about the future, I think India is constantly growing and our economic challenges are very different than American economic challenge. And once we cross certain thresholds, I think all of this will happen. But if we take a 10-year view, most likely it won't happen. And it's, I think, also skewed expectation. I think we have made it more of an ego battle than a practical battle. We are not, no one's talking about what went inside OpenAI. What were they thinking 7 years back? No video will actually even do well. The video that will do well is where like someone is telling Sam Altman challenge accepted. Like, that's not how manifestation happens. That's how arguments get won or arguments become funny and videos go viral. But that's not how I think you can win. Because you have to understand, like, what were Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Reid Hoffman thinking 7 years back? Why were they thinking that? How much money was spent? What kind of researchers came? What was the background of those researchers? Why did they become a good researcher? What was happening at the university? Okay, how much money was going into that professor? How much money was spent here? How much compute was given? There's so many things that you have to do to get that. So I think like India is an applications market and will do extremely well on the application layer. There might be some specific model companies, but if we are talking about AGI getting built from India within the next 5, 7 years and beating OpenAI, I think it's a stretch.
Okay, I disagree a little bit over here because I don't know if you don't mind me saying it. Okay, so it's my
I want to tell me.
see. I get your point of view, I totally respect it also, and I understand from what you're trying to say. But my disagreement is that given the how AI, if it's misuse or if someone has the kind of control, and how do I say, from political and geographical point of view, say if one day US decides not to provide its services, OpenAI, or just blocks it. So at some point where the large number of companies which are reliant on such platforms will lose the access, right? And there will be a huge disruption. And also from security point of view, if you think from that perspective, right? I'm just giving a hypothetical. I'm not sure how off I am from my understanding. Say the way things are, like if you've seen like how 5G boards are being held and everything, right? Where technology is at the forefront. Right. So that is also, and also when we think about from building in India, and I look at ISRO as a great example, right? Of course, we don't have that kind of NASA like funding and everything, but we have like good success stories coming out from ISRO as well. So of course, I get your point of view as well, but I feel that if someone is that it is possible to have some sort of an India based with local IPs and everything, which will be in such situations where it becomes very critical to have a localized and infra. So that is my rough understanding of it. I'm not
No,
sure
no,
if I am
but we are talking about two different points.
correct.
What I am saying, how much is it going to be possible? And
Correct.
second is, do we need it or not? You are saying, do we need it? I think we absolutely need it.
Correct.
Okay, so correct, two different points. Will we be able to get there? Do we need to get there? The answer to do we get there is we are both on the absolute same page.
Mhm.
Whatever concerns you are saying are true, and we need to get there. Okay. The question is, will we be able to get there? If we are, how behind? And ISRO has great success stories. I agree. But how far behind are we relatively? Number one. Number two, we know from the consumer behavior that what are we saying? That will a consumer opt for a substandard product or not substandard? It's a wrong word. Or slightly, say, if a product is on 9 on 10 versus a product on 7 on 10, will they use a 7 on 10 product just because it's Indian? I don't think that is how consumers operate. But I'm on the same point on, do we need it? But what I'm saying is, this race, we might be a little behind. But what can the country do on the grassroots? So this is not the last things we are going to invent. Okay. I don't think this is the last thing humans have invented. We will keep inventing. But what are the grassroots changes you want to make that you're neck to neck versus playing a catch up?
Mhm.
Right now, we are playing a catch up. The world first came OpenAI, and then we went into a reactive mode and said that we'll build something like this for India. No one thought about it from first principle. And I'm talking about, will we be able to think about these things from first principles ground up? I don't see that happening in the first 5, 7 years because of the other grassroots problems. But do we need it? I think I don't even think that we only need AI and stuff, right? Like I think we also need to, on a security perspective, we also need to build our own chips.
Correct.
But the first fabs, I studied at University of Michigan, had a fab. India got a fab, I think, after University of Michigan got a fab. And if that happens, then you're restricting. And look, I don't think Indians are a problem. I think we are super smart, very hardworking. I don't know, but like 40% of the world's innovation can be done by us in the US. Something like that, like where we will be at the part of the core team. It's the underlying infrastructure because the country is really solving for the toilets and the gases. And that is also what is required. If you were anyone and if you have to prioritize what to solve, you'll solve for toilets before. Yeah.
Okay. One thing I want to, I
No stress.
just have different point of view, and I also respect your view, but the choice of word was not nice, and I'm sorry. It's okay. So now coming to the biggest question, like the everybody keeps talking about it. Even I get jitters about it because I'm into the business, into the field of writing and creating, say for news writing, as simple as that, right? एंड प्रेस रिलीज लो और इसका न्यूज़ लिखता हूँ। लिख दिया उसने। ठीक है, 19-20 था, वो बिल्कुल जर्नलिस्ट वाला नहीं था, लेकिन इट वाज़ वेरी क्लोज टू दैट, राइट? फिर मैं तब से ये सोचने लगा कि यार ये तो 5 प्रेस रिलीज़ को रीराइट कर देगा। ये तो जितना जो एक मैनुअल काम चल रहा है और जो एक बेसिक जो एक जनरली एंट्री पॉइंट पे एक लड़का कर रहा है या लड़की कर रही है, राइट? दिस एआई कैन डू इट इन अ snap, right? So again, I want to understand from your point of view. Do you think this paranoia around that AI can take away jobs?
Yeah, look, I think again, two, three things here. One is the short answer is there's going to be a carnage because most people in the world are mediocre and AI will kill mediocrity for sure. But if you start thinking about a craftsperson
Mhm.
where you care about these, where you care about how the story should be crafted, why it should be crafted, I don't think AI does that.
Mm.
So I think the craft gets mediocrity gets a carnage. Like it's going to be a problem for people doing mediocre work. But on the long term, I think that they figure things out. Like Homo sapiens figure things out.
Mhm.
And when we start figuring things out, I think the step of growth at the pace at which human beings are growing is going to be a multiplication because of AI. Because as we start adopting and understanding, we are going to move much faster in life than what we were. Again, like what automobiles did, right? Like the world started moving faster than what it could. And when the world starts moving, more people can get educated because now you have buses to take you to school versus walking. If you're walking, less number of people will go to school. So the speed of change and the speed of progress increased on a larger level. On a short term level, 100% there is going to be carnage. There is going to be far more value in the craft. AI will not give you insights. AI will not give you creativity. AI will do some mediocre work that you were getting done from a mediocre person who had to be driven to do that work, who needed like a stick and a carrot. Now you don't need that person and then you move very faster. So people with high agency, people with a deeper understanding will be able to do a better job. So I think it's a short term and long term, but short term, will you see effects? 100%. Will that press release get views? Because the job of the press release is not press release. The job of the press release is to get attention. Will it get attention without the craft? I don't think so.
That I understand. And also, to be very honest, I've seen like quite a few media organization struggling to automate a lot of content, to be very honest. Say, Sensex reports, it's very manual, right? If you have like, it's a very templatized content, right? For such things, I've seen a lot of large publications struggling to automate that point of view. Automate that aspects of, say, weather information, for instance, right? Or the ticker which comes or which you see. It's a very templatized content which we see. So I get it.
Structured it.
Yeah,
Structured it.
correct. Structures, content, very basic stuff like that. And I'm sure can do. And of course, it gives journalists a lot more time to think about other things, right? They're not filing basic weather reports. Just, yeah, I can do this. Okay. But again, talking about the another gray areas or maybe dark areas of AI, do you think I think how dangerous you think AI can get if you have to give a very hypothetical answer like this is, if you look at it, and and its misuse, if you see the misuse of AI, deepfakes and everything, and not very, like it's very recent, like during elections, we saw the kind of uncontrolled, and it was very difficult if someone is, say, who's not very tech savvy and is who is not aware, this was pretty much rampant, so it could really affect the social fabric also. And also, so this is where I want your point of view, that if it gets misused, so what should be the checks and balances?
It will get misused. And it's a step of iteration. For example, we try extremely hard that people are not able to clone someone else's voice. We can start with an OTP. So there will be like a bunch of things that will get misused. But again, I think that we are resilient enough that will stop that misuse constantly to Like any technology, it can be used for your benefits and for your, there will have pros and cons, almost like even nuclear energy. And I think we are resilient enough that we'll figure it out. I don't have the perfect answers on a larger scale, but I think that we will come back and make sure that things that are unethical gets dogged and becomes more and more difficult. Almost like hacking on the internet, right? Like sure, hacking came by and the data got shared, but like we made sure that things got blocked. I think a very similar thing. I personally I come from a place where I think the past gets repeated just in different form.
So can you also talk about what are the checks and balances in video in your platform if someone wants to misuse it, say use it to malign someone or use for its nefarious purposes. So what are the check balances in your platform?
If you, for example, if you are going to create NSFW content or anything related to unethical things around children, it will just block it. It will understand the command and it will block it. With respect to voice cloning, there are flows where you have to go and say that, hey, my name is Sanket Shah and I give permission to clone my voice. Here's my voice sample. And then all of that combined, if you don't do, basically, I can't just upload your voice
Correct.
and clone it. I have to also speak the whole thing, but I won't be able to get it done. I won't be able to get you to say that, hey, I'm Kulbhushan. I give InVideo AI permission to clone my voice and give me that sample and upload it. So, like those things are just blocked. So, I can't take your voice and make you say something that's allowing permission, and then it's matching both the voices. So, basically, that's how we block it today. Now, the problem, one place where we feel that there's a little bit of problem and how we are solving it. Like one place there will be a little bit of problem is basically I can go to some other platform, get your voice sample and make that voice say this, that I give InVideo AI permission and then upload it so you can jailbreak it. But now we are going to have an OTP. So when you have to say the OTP disappears and you can't even clone it because of the amount of time it takes you to clone it and upload it, the OTP changes. We are also learning of how people will jailbreak, and as people jailbreak, we'll keep making sure that we protect it. Because the goal of a business is to make money, but also you make money when you're excited and when you know that you're making money of doing bad things. The motivation and the culture goes for a toss. And when motivation and culture goes for a toss, you make less money.
Mhm. Okay. There is a one more follow-up related to this, and one thing which I'm very curious also, like who owns the IP for AI generated content? Like who can claim, as a creator, can I claim video content created by, say, for instance, in video, for instance? Is it my content or is it in video's content? Where does that, how is it defined?
But no, we believe that it's your content. It's not our content at all. It's your ideas, it's your thoughts,
Mhm.
and then something came out of it. We are at best your partner
Mhm.
to help you create.
Correct.
You are the boss. What's that series Suits? Harvey and Mike. We are the Mike. We are the Mike.
Got
You are the Harvey.
got it. Before we conclude and enter the last phase, do you think if you look at the large amount of fundings that is happening in AI and everything, and this is not the first time we have seen VCs lining up to certain trending thing, right? Just a couple of years ago, it was Web3 everywhere, right? And all. Do you see it's like some sort of a bubble that is there, or it will again course correct, market will correct itself after some time?
Market always corrects itself.
But do you think
Market
it's
always
right now inflated? Do you see it's inflated at the moment? कि सिर्फ जेएनआई बोलो और इतना मिलियन फंडिंग आ जा रहा है.
नहीं होता है. I don't think so. बेसिकली किसको यू टेल मी कंपनीज जहाँ पे जेने आई बोला और आ गया, थोड़ा बहुत होता है बट इतना नहीं होता है. वो थोड़ा बहुत होता है बिकॉज ऑफ द फाउंडर एंड द ट्रस्ट ऑन द फाउंडर एंड द फाउंडर वुड हैव डन समथिंग और विल हैव सम कैलिबर और सम नंबर्स एंड सम अमाउंट ऑफ मिसजज. I think this is going to keep happening. And look, like from 2021, we know that VCs also have to pay for their mistakes. So they will pay for their mistakes. And who's building a business for a VC anyway? VC is a partner who puts in money, largely a sleeping partner, can add strategic value, who was building a business for a VC, and the other part is, look, आज का तो देख के पॉइंट ही नहीं है, सारा कुछ फ्यूचर पे होता है, तुम रॉकस्टार हो या तुम इडियट हो, सब फ्यूचर पे डिसाइड होता है। तो जो नॉनसेंस हो रहा है वहां पे वो इडियट प्रूव हो जाएंगे, और जब इडियट प्रूव हो जाते हो तो उसकी सजा मिलती है, और जब स्मार्ट प्रूव हो जाते हो तो उसका फायदा मिलता है। तो ये सब तो आई थिंक ये सब होते रहेगा यार, जब इंटरनेट आया होगा तब हुआ होगा, मोबाइल आया होगा तब हुआ होगा, Web3 पे हो जाएगा, इधर हो जाएगा। बिकॉज look, you have to also understand that there's a VC partnership, but there are niche other people. And the thing in life is, what gets sold gets repeated. So someone is constantly selling something to someone. And what resonates, like जब US क्राइसिस हुआ था, हाउसिंग क्राइसिस, वहां पे वो प्रेसिडेंट ने बोल दिया था एवरीवन शुड हैव, एवरी अमेरिकन विल हैव अ हाउस, और फिर रेट्स गिरा दिए। ठीक है, फिर वो लोग उसका मॉर्गेज भरने के पैसे नहीं थे। बट द मैसेज दैट गॉट रिपीटेड वाज कि आपका घर होगा, गॉट रेजोनेटेड, वाज गेटिंग वोट्स, पॉलिसी गॉट चेंज्ड, वो फट गया फ्यूचर में जाके। सो यू लाइक थिंग्स टेक इट्स ऑल्सो थिंग्स विल टेक इट्स ओन कोर्स, एंड यू शुड समटाइम्स ऑल्सो लाइक फ्रॉम द साइडलाइंस क्वाइटली लेट इट टेक इट्स ओन कोर्स। बिकॉज कुछ तो बिक रहा है कहीं पे, एलपी पे बिक रहा है, या पार्टनरशिप पे बिक रहा है, आईसी पे बिक रहा है, और वो हम see on a macro level we think all of this, on a micro level we operate on incentives, and whatever's incentivized gets that. And people can make mistakes, including LPs and VC partners, senior partners can make mistakes on incentivization, and when incentives get screwed they get fucked. But again, in VC and in LP, they are very smart because they have made a ton of money. Somehow they have made money, so they are smart. They can take 5 wrong shots, and one good shot pays for the 5 wrong ones and gives you right to take 5 more wrong shots. So you are really looking and playing the odds that चलो छक्का मारता हूँ, 4 बार आउट हो गया, एक बार छक्का लग गया तो मैच तो जीत गए, तो फिर पूरा मैच तो छक्के का है, तो वो चलेगा यार, मतलब हो गया, गलती हो गया, सॉरी। पर जब गलती नहीं हुआ तब क्या मिला? सो आई थिंक वी ऑल्सो टेक टू मच अटेंशन की गलती कर दी, गलती कर दी, गलती कर दी, यार गलती तो करेंगे, बट यू हैव टू बी राइट वंस बोलते हैं ना, यू जस्ट हैव टू बी राइट वन। इट्स ट्रू। सो ऑल ऑफ दिस थिंग्स विल कीप हैपनिंग, एंड आई एटलीस्ट डोंट गेट bothered about it because it will take its own course. And people are also operating judgment. People will make mistakes, learn from mistakes, and then hopefully make different mistakes.
ये बड़ा एक एचआर वाला क्वेश्चन है जो मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ। आप इन वीडियो को अगले कुछ सालों में क्या देखते हैं?
We want to like really own the space of video creation in the world.
Right.
Like what Nike is to shoes, we want to be with video creation. Really, that's the goal, right? Like the goal is that अगर billion लोग video बनाएंगे, can InVideo be the safe space? Are able to. Really, that's the goal.
All right. Thank you, Sanket, for taking out time and talking to me. It was lovely talking to you. बहुत कुछ सीखा मैंने, बहुत कुछ नया पर्सपेक्टिव भी मिला मुझे. So really, thank you.
No, and thanks a lot for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Thanks so much for spending the time and chatting with me.